So one of the things I thought about was, how can I share with each of you what my idea of self-love is, and not that I am the definer of self-love, but that this entire movement that I've been teaching from for the past, 7 or 8 years has been about self-love and soul healing. And how do I define that so that it can create a spark in others that really allows you to move into a different space? So what I would say is that I wrote down that authentic love is self-love, but what is authentic self-love? How can we be more authentic in our self-love? A lot of people say self-care is self-love, but self-care is what you do when loving yourself. So we're not really talking about self-care yet. We're really talking about self-love, like the concept, like the idea, the kind of stasis, the home of where self-care is birthed. So when we're thinking about who it is that we look at in the mirror, do we see just our mistakes? Do we just see, how people perceive us? Or do we really see who's there? At least in the way that we honor that this person that we're looking at has been through trials and tribulations, has been through hard times, great times, grand times, has moved through life and is still here, has given themselves the deference to choose, has been a person who is about the freedom of expressing who they are, has been a person who has created a life that feels complementary to their deep innermost thoughts, a person who really gets to show and be naked in front of others, like to show who you are to others so that they really get a good idea of who they're talking to and who they're talking with. And then the opposite of that would be just kind of like not having standards and boundaries, like kind of neglecting your health and your needs, your self-concept not being very clear, blame, shame, and deprecation of self, like kind of the way we talk to ourselves in the negative way, where we just blame ourselves for everything that's happening as if we're supposed to have it all figured out, as if we have somehow already lived the life that we're living now, and this is a rerun, and if we don't get it, then we are somehow failing because we already did this. If you live like that, just be honest with yourself. If those moments even come up, just be really honest that it's so easy to dip into a space where you're just criticizing what you're doing as if you have all the answers, or as if you're an expert at something, that you're not somehow winging it like the rest of us. That you believe that there are gotchas in your universe, that there are no's waiting for you, that if you try and ask or request or get something, that there's something that's going to say, no, it's just waiting for you to ask to reject you. These are the kind of, thoughts that we sometimes carry and we've been conditioned to believe based on our experience. But our experience is our history, and we are in a position to create new experiences. So then that kind of spawns a question. What are you willing to do to create a new experience or a new set of experiences for yourself so that you can have a different concept of who you are? If you keep recreating the experiences that defined you previously, you can expect to feel just like that person. But sometimes you have to seek new experiences. Sometimes you have to tune into that live, take that program, call that person, make that apology, forgive yourself, change your self-talk, change your daily structures and habits. And in doing these things, you start to reform how you understand yourself because you show up differently. And once you show up differently, you have concrete evidence and now experience that it can be different. But a lot of times you have to get there. As Tyrese said, throwing in a towel. If you get to the point where you throw in the towel and you say, I just can't do it anymore. I'm just done. I quit. If that is something that comes up, see what's behind that. Because I promise you, a lot of times when you're wanting to throw in the towel, when you're wanting to give up on yourself, just think about that, right? You want to give up on you. Not someone else wants to give up on you. You want to give up on you. When you get to the place that makes sense and that's a norm, it's because someone else's or many people's or society's self-concept is so deeply entrenched in who you define yourself as that you don't even see where you are. And I'm saying that because I think we all go through this at a point. At some point, we all have to make decisions about whether we allow what others think to define us. Is it something we should, integrate or assimilate with? Or are we so uncomfortable being alone and being an individual in our stance that we just take on what other people do? And this is such an important question to ask yourself, because right now, yeah, there's a certain rhythm always of what other people are doing. The real question is, what is your rhythm? How do you get back to who you are and how you feel? How do you stand in a space that says, you know, for whatever your name is, who you are? How do you stand in a space that says you are totally able and competent in making choices that feel good to you, even if you think that other people won't adapt to it or like it or accept it? What if that's actually making it further along your path as opposed to being off your path? What if your path that really resonates with you and vibrates with you is waiting for you to choose it? And it's these second by second decisions that you make that journey so long to get there, that make that journey so challenging to get there, that create the struggles because you won't let go when you're just trying to get there. Y'all, this is so important. And I hope if you all are feeling me, I hope it's starting to resonate, because this is not a blame game. This is not, I'm sitting here and you know, in some kind of judgment. This is not that you all are sitting in judgment of others. I am simply asking you to look at these things, because looking at these things gives you the clear view and the opportunity and the vision to remember after this call that each decision you make is a negotiation with the universe, essentially, about how you're going to move, about how you're choosing to move. Situations won't move out of your life if you keep choosing them. If you keep saying, I don't want this, but I keep choosing it, where is it supposed to go? You're very powerful and you keep choosing it. So where is it supposed to go? And I want you to be really, really shifting in your beliefs. You know, your beliefs are what carry the fabric of how you show up. Your beliefs are the foundation upon which you are often choosing. So is there something you believe, big question, is there something you believe about yourself that is something you need to let go? Is there something you believe about yourself that actually keeps you stifled, keeps you away from truth, keeps you locked in, keeps you connected to things that don't feel good when you try and move in them? And these are very subtle for most people. Sometimes you can see that the things that you keep choosing, you just think of it as a routine in life. But then you meet someone and they're doing something completely different and they give zero craps about what people think about it. And it's those kind of people that become our biggest teachers, whether that's a partner, family member, whatever it is, friend, best friend, old, used to be best friend, whatever it is. It's those kind of people that remind you that it's really something else going on that I can do. And I have evidence now of people who are doing it, that I'm not in this vacuum of everyone's doing the same thing. And sometimes in, at least, you know, I say all the time, you know, in the city I live in, Chicago, for instance, you know, if you're watching from Chicago, what's up? But in Chicago, there's a tendency to believe that work is the fabric of success and achievement, that the more that you do is going to give you the result that you want. And sometimes it's weeding through those things that you just do for the sake of doing and finding the things that give you the results that you want. So I want you to just sit with that for a minute. If any of you on this call would say to yourself, I want to be in fill in the blank, ask yourself what's between you and it. And I want you to notice how many times other people's names come up as what's in between you and it. And that's how you can really gauge, right? If I say I want to be an architect today, at this point, I'm not going to put the barriers to entry in front of me. I'm going to be aware of them, but I'm also going to allow myself the space to say, what is it that I have? What is in my base? What is in my, you know, cultured self that really makes this thing align with me? That's what you're always looking for. I don't care if it's a career change. I don't care if it's a relationship. You are always looking for the thing that lines you straight up with the place that you want to be. That's what you're always looking for. Don't look for the reasons you can't. Don't look for the things that tell you it's impossible. Don't look for the evidence that everyone else has failed at it. Look for the things that line you straight up with it. Look for the things that say it's calling you by name and you're calling it by name. You start to look for those experiences that confirm that this thought is not random, that this feeling is on point, that this path is ablaze for you. You start to look for those affirming details, and you start to quiet the details that say you can't do that. That's not possible. There is not anybody that has done that. There's nobody that looks like you that's done it. There's nobody who moves like you that's done it. There's nobody in your income category that's done it. Lay that to rest. Because self-love says, if I can have the idea, then it's possible for me. It doesn't look for the details of how it's not possible. The ideas of what you can't do don't come up until you think of what you can do. So that lets you know who the follower is. It's what you can't do that's the follower. What you can do is the predecessor. You think about how you are able to come up with an idea out of nowhere, out of seemingly nowhere. Why is this idea choosing me right now? What information am I getting right now? And then how does that, and this is the most important part, how does that vibrate with who I'm choosing to be to meet that?